the Intuitive Creators Method. And the concept behind this is easy. It's inherently easy. And it's meant to be easy. And I know the profound effect, simplifying things in these smaller steps for me, it was profoundly effective. And I know it works. It really, really worked for me. So I'm combining my creativity coaching background with my own experiences in life and as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, and as a creative, and also as a Reiki healer. So there's spiritual trust that I am building as well. And the steps that I'll share with you as we get into it, if you take any of the workshops that I'm creating, all of the things you can do that I'll share with you, all the steps, all the things, it's all really easy. But the problem is that we don't trust them.
It all begins by understanding the mind.
I want to be happy now. I don't care about the future. I want to be happy right now.
You are not alone. You are never, ever, ever alone in this.
It's helped my voice grow and given me freedom to be creative on my own.
I'm Christina Barcy. Welcome to Be Bold, Begin, a podcast dedicated to you, the creative, the healer, and the innovator. The topics and conversations we have here are designed to help you discover what might be getting in your way and offer you tools, techniques, and guidance to move through them.
I live in the imposter's body more than I live in my own body. I don't have to feel like I don't deserve this.
This is where creativity and healing intersect.
If you decide to be bold and begin, you have the opportunity to feel humbled and empowered. I totally believe that.
I'm a certified Kaizen Muse creativity coach, a certified Reiki energy healer, and an entrepreneur, artist, and presenter. I will share with you my experiences, my proven tools and techniques that helped me and my clients and loved ones shift and expand in the areas they most desired. This is a gentle and open space where you will hear how others are being bold to encourage you to begin your own journey or expand the one you're on. This is Be Bold Begin. Hi, welcome back. This is Barcy, your host, and I want to talk to you today about attuning to yourself. And what do I mean by that? I mean allowing your inner voice, your inner truth, be the loudest voice, be the one you connect with, and allow it to guide you along your journey, along your day-to-day, along how you approach your own life. Because I truly, truly believe that by doing that, by attuning to yourself, you can deepen your awareness and your connection and your trust in yourself, and therefore in how you move through your life. And if you have a business, or if you work within projects, or you do things that are creative, really it's for anyone. I believe everyone benefits from this process with tuning into themselves. But if you have something like that going on in your life as well, like a business, creativity, projects, things where you're making lots of decisions, this is imperative. It becomes really, really important in order to have an easier time, honestly, because all of those things are hard enough. They are inherently tricky, to say the least, and they have hurdles that are baked into that experience, whether that's creating a business or art or, projects, whatever it is. There's a lot of problem solving. There's a lot of circumstantial things that you cannot control, but what you can control is you. And the more you are connected with that inner part of you that is your truth, that is the navigator, when you allow that to be your navigation tool over the things that come from outside of us, then we start to process the things that are outside of us quite differently. And it really, really changes how you feel as you move through these processes, how you make decisions, how you bring things to life, what you decide to do, what you decide not to do. And it all becomes to feel more congruent. It all becomes to feel more aligned with how you desire these experiences to feel, how the reason you wanted to do them in the first place and how you imagined they would feel and how you imagined they would just be, like what you wanted to do this for in the first place, that why. This is all very connected to that because there was a desire at the beginning of your process of starting this, whatever this is. Again, whether that's a business or a creative project or just a new thing in your life that you are, working on. It could be parenthood. It could be a lot of things, but knowing why you do the things that you do, number one, really important. But when we can connect with ourselves continuously in a way that is just part of how you live and how you approach everything, it really changes the experience. Your experience starts to really become your own, and you start to literally own your experience more. And when you can do that, that yields confidence. That equals the trust that we want. We start to feel safer and more secure. We have less anxiety. We're less overwhelmed. We know what kind of boundaries we need when, and our creativity flows a little easier. And there's so many benefits when we can create a process that is designed for our desires to become real, for those things to come to fruition. And when that process is leaning into yourself, you're never going to go wrong doing that. So I've actually created a process for this, and I'm really, really, really enjoying creating it and talking about it. And I'm going to be talking about it a lot more on this podcast and just in general. I'm really leaning into it, but the place where things are happening for this is going to be in my Intuitive Creators Collective. That's a free community. There's also some premium offers within that community, but you can start free. This podcast is free because I love sharing with you. But I want to talk a little bit more about what I mean when I say all of that. So I was thinking about this the other day, and I talk about easy a lot. My favorite question, my favorite quote unquote small question is, what if it were easy? Because that really changed my life when I started to think about things that way, when I stopped thinking about the thing that I hated doing each day, which was going to the job that I didn't like. And it felt very hard. It felt hard when I got there. It felt hard to get there. It felt hard while I was there. It felt hard after. And even on the days off that I wasn't there, I was dreading going back there and having to do it. And I didn't know how to get out of the life I was living that I wasn't happy with. And everything about it felt hard. But when I asked myself this question, what if it were easy? At least on the days I was going to work at this job, like right before, I would really sort of just encompass this freedom, because questions offer a lot of possibility. So to me, just asking a question like that felt really free and very permission giving. So just the act of that alone felt great to me, and it felt different, and it was a good different. So I kept doing it, and I formed a habit around it, and habits are really important. That's the simplest way to call them. Habits. We have lots of habits in our lives that some stick around for a really long time, some go away, and some show up and we have a new habit suddenly that maybe we didn't even intentionally bring in. That happens all the time. So this was one I wanted to form, and I wanted to experiment with it and see what would happen if I was consistent in asking myself this question. So I did, and I found myself reflecting on it in trickier moments while I was at work. If something came up that was not my favorite situation, or a situation that I had to troubleshoot, or something came up, and I would ask myself, well, what if this solution was an easy one? What would that look like? And that just simplified everything for me in my head. I stopped overcomplicating things, and I allowed room to just look for the simplest solution. And that alone was so shifting. And it just made me feel more positive throughout my day. So I love this concept of easy. I love this idea of going into this easy energy and into this simplified version of things, because there's many ways to think about something and to come to a conclusion or to find a solution. There are many pathways to do so, and there's often more than one solution, but there's usually a simpler option and then some more complicated ones. So this started for me, let's see, in 2017, maybe 2016. And we are now in 2023. If you're listening to this later, that's the gap between the years that from today and then. And I share that with you because the evolution of this for me took time. And when I was doing this practice particularly, it took me maybe just under a year to really trust myself enough to actually quit that job and shift my life in a big way. Now I have more tools, and I wanted to create a system and a formula and sort of a method to access this energy in many ways for many different types of things, many different desires, many different feelings and experiences that we want to have in our lives. And I've been working on testing that out in my own life once again. And so far it's having really cool, really massive effects, which I could get into, but maybe I'll do an episode on that next week. But I'll give you a hint. Again, if you're listening to this in the future, in this space and time, housing is extremely difficult and the real estate market is crazy. So we were able to buy a home and a really insanely big property that I would have never imagined for myself until it appeared and was available. And suddenly all of the hurdles that we were getting denied a lot with our pre-approvals for loans and all of these things. So there were just so many things like that started happening, and they continue to happen. And maybe I'll do an episode about the magic next week, because it does feel magical when I can let go and remember that it can be easy and I don't have to control it all, and I can trust myself and therefore trust my experience and the universe. I do believe in that. If you don't, that's okay, but I do. It works for me. So I want to talk about this a little bit. So this idea of easy. So my concept, this methodology that I'm formulating, I'm calling it the Intuitive Creators Method. And the concept behind this is easy. It's inherently easy. And it's meant to be easy. And I was getting in my own way with that too, where it felt like, oh, it's too simple. It's oversimplified. But I know the profound effect, simplifying things in these smaller steps for me, it was profoundly effective, and I know it works. It really, really worked for me. So I'm combining my creativity coaching background with my own experiences in life and as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, and as a creative, and also as a Reiki healer. So there's spiritual trust that I am building as well. So again, the concept is very easy, and it's meant to be easy. And the steps that I'll share with you as we get into it, if you take any of the workshops that I'm creating, which we have two this week inside my group. So again, it's free to join. All the links are in the show notes. But the concepts are easy and the pathways are easy. Like all of the things you can do that I'll share with you, all the steps, all the things, it's all really easy. But the problem is that we don't trust them. And I'm afraid I fear that you won't trust them. I fear that I don't trust them all the time. And I don't trust them all the time. I have to remind myself too. And this is where the habits comes back. Why I was talking about habits a moment ago, is that it really is about being in practice. And when we are in practice, it becomes more of a default habit. And we don't question it as much, and we don't stray from it as often. So coming back to this, when we begin to trust ourselves and hear our own true inner voice, it allows for that voice to be the driving force. It becomes our trusted guide, and we allow the quote unquote learned habits and beliefs of others that we've adopted, let those things quiet, and maybe even dissipate. And we can begin to make space for the magic, for trusting ourselves and our own rhythm, our own feelings, and allowing those feelings to lead us to owning our own experience. Like I said a moment ago, we want to own our own experience. Really changes things when we can feel that we're owning our experience here in our lives. And it leads to areas of our lives that felt hard to begin to soften as well and meld, and we can meld into the experience we really want to be having. And sometimes that happens slowly, and sometimes that can happen really quickly. It just depends on, which part of yourself you've made more malleable already. And sometimes it can speed up when we have a new practice like this. And sometimes this practice is newish, or just being reintroduced to something like this can be a little slower. There's no timeline that you need to compare yourself to. So the goal then becomes that we want these experiences and these desires that we have to begin to be experienced. We want these desires and thoughts and things that we want in our life to become 3D. We want to take them out of just our heads and these feelings, and we want to start experiencing them. And the more alignment that we have, the more these things become materialized. So the more we can attune to ourselves and attune to those desires and trust those desires and believe in the experiences that we want to have and believe that they are for us and know that they are for us and trust that they are for us and trust that we're taking the right steps to bring them into fruition, then they do start to materialize. And that's when we can trust it even more, because we'll start to see the things we want happen in a way that maybe we hadn't before. And we can really create this energy more and more and more and step into it and decide that this is the way we want to keep going. So there's decisions being made, but they're a little different than the solution-based decisions we often make in life. But those become simpler too, like I mentioned earlier. So when we step into this type of belief system, when we step into believing and leaning into ourselves in this way from inner trust, because we are so connected to who we really are, then more becomes possible. And the process to ease and fulfillment becomes simpler and easier. And we can continue to open up to that process and trust it and begin creating those new habits consistently to allow opportunities for the shifts. And that's the part that might feel like discord as you're going through it. So the shifts can be easy, like I said, if you've already worked in that area a little bit of your life. But sometimes it's getting that habit in place and finding consistency with it, or allowing all of the old thoughts to surface, which aren't always very nice and don't feel great. And sometimes it brings up lots of emotions or other experiences we've had in our lives. And shifting all of that and reframing all of that can be the difficult part, because it doesn't necessarily feel great all the time, but the actual steps and access points and all of that is actually easy and simple. It's simple. So the techniques that I am going to use are gentle, and they're designed to empower you and for you to tap into your alignment and to tap into your uniqueness, because you do have that, to tap into your inner knowing, because you have that too. You have deep inner knowing, your desires and your joy, and to tap into your power to create an experience that is most on your heart for each thing. So all of this attuning to yourself just opens up so much possibility, and maybe things that you didn't even allow yourself to consider possible for you. I've had many moments like that too. So the way I've designed it is there are what I'm calling gateway pillars. They're pillars that are entry points to the things you want to experience, the energies you want to experience. They allow you to tap in to the things I just mentioned and to tap into your version of that. So tapping into yourself through these entry points and to create actions, which is the habit part. Habits are connected to actions. And from that place, you discover what resonates for you and you discover what aligns for you, and you start listening. You start asking yourself these questions. You start listening to the answers that come from you. And they're tools. These are tools that you can then incorporate and decide, when you need a new tool or when you're ready for something different within the gateways. I'm consolidating them into 7 categories, and then each pillar, each entry point has, lots of things that you can do within each one. So there's infinite possibilities, and you can do more than one. You can do lots of different things, and they're really simple. They're really easy little things that you can just consider and see what resonates for you. So I'm really excited to start sharing it with you in a more structured way. And I'm going to do that this week. If you are able to join me live, it will be this week on Thursday, April 27th at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And it's called the 3 First Steps to Unblocking Your Magic. It's going to be 30 minutes long. You can join me live. There's going to be a link in the show notes. Just RSVP, click the link. It'll ask you to join the collective. Again, that's free. It's just because this live class will be happening inside there. And if you like it, and if you want to work more directly with me in a group setting, then the following day on Friday, the 28th at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I have a workshop that will be longer, and it's called Unblock Your Magic and Wake Up Your Intuition workshop. So that is more interactive. You can join me live there as well. And if you miss any of this stuff inside my collective, Intuitive Creators Collective, we will also have an area where you can purchase the replays. I hope I see you there. I hope you like this episode, and you might want to ask yourself today, what if it were easy? What if it were easy? What if there was one thing you could do to make it easy? That's why the first class is free. I don't want it to be hard. So I hope to see you there. And if not, I'll see you back here next week. We hope that these episodes inspire and empower you to take your next steps in your own intuitive journey towards a life or business that feels clear, authentic, and aligned. And if you're ready for more tools and guidance like courses and free events, then I'd love to invite you to my new Intuitive Creators Academy and Collective. It's free to join. Just follow the link in the show notes and remember to DM me once you get there to receive a special gift for being a listener of People Begin. I'll look forward to seeing you there.